The opposite of love is not hatred, it is apathy. Something that the latest episode of Kenobi demonstrates very well indeed.
In this particular episode, we're going to find ourselves bored out of our minds. So bored, in fact, that Arch and I literally couldn't record it after the watching because we cared not. We had no cares left, really. It was kind of terrible.
Absolute genuine disinterest, and this in despite of the fact that a lot of stuff did actually technically happen this episode, because Leia gets abducted, because that's what Leia does. She goes to a magical stick in the water, which the rebels know where is, that has no shieldings and no security protocols and no guarding fleet and no defenses whatsoever because, quote, no one would be stupid enough to attack it.
That's why it's undefended, basically.
Brilliant reasoning.
Brilliant strategy, sir.
They'll never expect it. It's true. It's true.
We won't.
Obi Wan then infiltrates this base. He kills a stormtrooper, doesn't don his armor, because he's just like, well, I'm Obi Wan Kenobi. They must see me coming or something, because reasons, I guess.
Yep, he's like, I'll just sneak my way through. And it's like, why wouldn't he wear the armor? At least to blend in, to infiltrate properly.
Because he's Obi Wan Kenobi, and this is Star Wars.
I'll wear my Jedi robe so that they look at me for 1 second and they see me as a Jedi, which is something I do want to point out. This show, he's constantly wearing his Jedi robes. You would think he would have ditched those or buried those or something.
He has attachment to them, you know. That's just how it is. He obviously saves Leia, because of course he does. Then they exfiltrate, and there's snow speeders, you know, pew 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 pew, and the black Sith lady's like, curses you. And then Darth Vader shows up and goes, you've failed me. But then she goes, Massa, no, this was all the plan along, Kikakudori. And Darth Vader just goes, oh, Kikakudori, I speak your language.
I knew it all along. Yeah, I do not like the scene where, but we both knew it. As soon as Vader shows up, he's like, I'm gonna be threatening. You failed me. But, it's okay, I forgive you. You know, you get another chance because it was all part of your plan to colossally fuck up and allow Obi-Wan and Leia to escape. All part of your plan, yep.
Okay. It was all part of the plan, you see. And despite all of this happening, it was just a thoroughly uninteresting episode, partially because of the amateurish performance. This is my biggest disconnect with this series. In Halo, it was the fact that it simply wasn't Halo. Master Chief wasn't Master Chief, it was Pablo Schreiber, and I could never get interested in the series, because I didn't see Master Chief, except for like 2 episodes. Here, it's not the characters, because Obi-Wan Kenobi does a good job. Ewan McGregor does a good job. Everyone else, besides the no-name side characters, frankly, like the security officer at the gate who was kind of, you know, imperially, everyone does a dreadful job. Like, you've got Moses, I think her name was Moses, the Sith Inquisitor chick, trying to be intimidating whilst acting opposite a child, and you can clearly tell that she's trying to not scare the child, and it's just like, this isn't scary, this isn't intimidating, you're not being creepy, this is high school drama shit right here.
Yeah, it's like a kid's show, which is weird because the show is extremely violent when it wants to be. Like previous episode, we saw a stormtrooper get cut in half. Yet, at the same time, whenever Leia's on the screen, everything becomes immediately childish, and it's like, oh, you know, she's always getting away, and it's all, you know, fine and dandy, and nothing goes wrong. Like, Leia actively, I think, detracts further from the show, and it already has its own problems. But whenever Leia's involved, it just gets worse.
Leia is a massive detriment. There's just no way around it. And the choreography is another huge one. The choreography remains awful here as well. We've got a little Imperial infiltrator, double agent chick who gets walked out of the room by 2 stormtroopers, and the fight, quote-unquote, that follows is one of the most embarrassing fight scenes I've ever seen. It opens with her open palm slapping a stormtrooper in the helmet. Bearing in mind too, they are both holding onto her hands when this happens. They let go of her hands.
Yeah, that was pain. And the worst part is the choreography is terrible, right? But the stormtrooper on the right-hand side of the screen, like, he gets a gentle push, and he just sort of throws his gun and sort of like fumbles and stands there and waits his turn to be slaughtered.
It is a thoroughly awful scene throughout and throughout. Then, well, I'll be showing you the pictures here in the background. Like, they're holding on to her. The stormtrooper that's holding onto her slapping hand lets go so she can slap one of them on the helmet, which totally incapacitates him for like 5-6 seconds as he lets go of his weapon. She then pushes the other stormtrooper just again on the helmet, and he's bringing up his weapon as if to shoot her in the gut, and then the extra is like, shit, I can't just shoot her, and then just tosses away his gun.
Yep, just gives it up. It looks forced. The fighting isn't good, and it feels very much like it's one of those scenes where you're like, yeah, she's dead. She would have died like 8 points at this scene, as she's doing all this silly things, slapping armored stormtroopers who are already on alert, who are somehow taken surprise by somebody who they suspect to be a traitor. It's like, come on, show. Piss off. This is absurd.
And the only reason she eventually manages to get her gun back is because it's sitting unsecured, loose in one stormtrooper's holster. And you can see that, again, this scene must have been reshot like half a dozen times because the stormtrooper's hand immediately goes to the holster, not to draw the weapon, not to throw it away. He lets go of her arm, and then he holds the gun in the holster so that it won't fall out. And his hand remains on that holster through the entire fight scene.
Yep, it is. It's bad. The whole sequence is just terrible, and it doesn't get any better because we don't even get any redemption. Like, throughout the later of the episode, like the only other action is Obi Wan, blocking some blaster bullets, which looks fine for what it is. And then you get the last bit of action towards the end of the episode is just, it compounds the issue further, where you have Inquisitor bitch just hauling ass, but she's also waddling like she's got some sort of mega wedgie at the main characters are trying to escape.
The entire run just looks weird. I wish I could play it for you here, but every time I do moving pictures, copyright claim.
Yeah,
so
nope, no, don't do that. Nope. But yes, if you've seen it, it's just like, is she all right? Is there something wrong? Like, why is she doing that?
It just looks weird, and that is the descriptor of the entire show. Like, the lightsaber fighting, too, looks weird. Like, Obi-Wan looks like he doesn't quite know what he's doing anymore. There's none of that incredible fluidity of even the prequels. When they're blocking laser bolts, it's all fluid. Like, their moves are, here's, I hold up my saber, bat that one away. To the point that the stormtroopers need to take pity on him as he's being cornered by 2 stormtroopers and a droid. And so the stormtrooper shoots the droid, and then the droid shoots the stormtrooper.
Yeah, that was something else. Like, stormtrooper's precision accuracy. I know it's his running gag, but blasts the droid, and then best part is, right, after he blasts the droid, Obi-Wan only has 1 target left. This stormtrooper is probably as good as dead. And so he's like, let's get it over with. And he starts advancing towards Obi-Wan, who's advancing towards him. It's like, let's just end it. Like, just chop me up already. He's ready to clock out, He's had enough.
He's had enough of this shit. And to be fair, I fully understand.
Yep. And the best part about this is there's even more bad action when there's a sequence in which they're in a hallway underwater, and Obi-Wan's blocking blaster bolts, and manages to close the door, because the blaster bolt that hits the door closes the door, because of course that's how doors work, right? But one of the blaster bolts smacks into the window that he deflected, and he's got to hold it back with the force, right? And so they're like, oh crap, what's going to happen? They're trying to get the door open. They're running, trying to get out of the hallway before the water, floods the room and kills everybody. And then the water pumps in right as Obi-Wan runs, and he escapes, and the door is closed behind him real quick, and you can see stormtroopers floating up, belly up dead like fish. Well, the fun fact is, stormtrooper armor is actually environmentally sealed. So that's a bit of a plot hole there, because they just sort of instantaneously died.
It does. I mean, I can see it. Okay, I can understand, because stormtrooper armor shouldn't be environmentally sealed. It's a cotton goddamn bodysuit. There is no environmental seals on that damn thing. But no, in canon, it is environmentally sealed. It can stand up to vacuum. And
yep.
Here's the retarded catch-22 as well. Because they then look at the door and goes like, that door won't hold for long. The blast door to the underwater base is not designed to withstand the pressure of the water. So you're thinking like, okay, maybe the water pressure was what killed them. Except Obi-Wan was swimming through this water at its depth at the beginning of the episode. Not to mention, there's light coming in from the outside. They are using the underwater lighting to illuminate the base, so clearly it can't be that deep.
Yeah, and it's painful. So they didn't die from the pressure of the water. Their suits are vacuum sealed. So they just magically gave up living. Just like the guy who walked towards Obi-Wan and was done with the fight scene. These guys were also done. They're like, we're done. We're clocking out. It's time for us to go. We fulfilled our role. Time to just die.
It's time to stop.
Hearts just all of which consecutively stop as soon as the water touches them. They're done.
They can't stop screwing up. They cannot see. So Obi-Wan then disengages, somehow makes it all the way back to the top level with his traitor woman. All right. No doors are locked. No wanted posters are open. Nobody has been informed to be on high alert or look out for the infiltrators or anything, and they just walk out. And it is the dumbest looking pair. Obi-Wan is hiding Leia under his frock, and nobody is noticing the four-legged man. Screw the four legs. He's a bearded Imperial officer. There is not a single other officer with a beard anywhere goddamn else, because the Imperium has goddamn grooming standards.
Yes, that is very true. And the best part is, right, when they're walking out, not only does he look extremely suspicious because of his beard, but he's also got this long jacket on, and there's clearly a person underneath the jacket, which is Leia, right? And walking awkwardly towards the exit. Come on, show, shut up. Surely these guys are on alert. They know the base has been infiltrated, right? Surely they'd be like, all right, so maybe one of us is a spy, because the Empire is suspicious of a spy already. Maybe one of us is, not actually who they say they are. Maybe we should check everybody. Maybe we should lock down the actual hangar where the ships are. Maybe we should do that instead of just let everyone wander out onto the docking pad, huh? Oh, the show is pain.
None of that happens. None of that happens. Just so the Inquisitor can show up at the end and be like, haha, Obi Wan, I have you now. She doesn't, of course. They show up, the Rebel Alliance show up, blast everything, and they escape. The TIE fighters, which we saw earlier, are nowhere to be seen. They've just been decommissioned, I guess. None of the other aircraft, they are mobilized. There's no ships in orbit. They claim earlier that Darth Vader's flagship is nearby, because he shows up right afterward. He's not close enough either. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah. This whole episode was boring. Its pacing was just a slog. And the interactions between the characters is forgettable. It is actually difficult to recall the specific interactions between these characters today. With the Inquisitor, confronting the spy, and the spy doing the obvious, oh yeah, I am the spy, but I'm a double agent, and that's what I'm actually on your side. Like, it's all the tropes. Like, Arch was calling it, we were calling it, everyone was just calling it. Like, there was no fun twists and turns here. It was just going through the motions, and that was it, really. And it was disappointing.
It's awful. And again, the choreography just...
Oh.
It gets worse and worse every time I look at it. It actually does. Like, when she's trying to block the blasters, right, she's just standing on the deck, she's just randomly swirling her lightsaber around, and you can see the editor is like, God, just give her a pity block there. We'll just have a blaster shot bounce off her lightsaber occasionally.
Yep. It unironically looks like that. That right as the speeders do their strafing run of the she's like wigging out with her lightsaber, like twirling it around, and like only 2 bolts hit it. But I think they didn't tell her. The director didn't tell her. It's like, oh yeah, there's like only 1 bolt you're actually gonna block 1 bolt. So she's like blocking like 30 bolts from this pretend, CGI close air support fighter that's doing a strafing run on them. So she's just wigging out while everyone around her is dying. And I also love the fact that these close air fighters, right? They're blasting huge plasma bolts, basically, that have these massive shockwaves which fling people around. It doesn't take a direct hit to knock somebody down with these. And they're, impacting on the ground right next to her. And all the stormtroopers from the blast are being flung about, and she's just fine.
Yep. And it is also, this thing is shooting at her 5 feet away, and nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening, and it has 2 guns, on either side. Her blade, she can maybe block 1 or 2 if she's super lucky. But the damn thing is like, boo, 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 boo. But nope, just all of it misses, all of it blocks, it's pain. It doesn't look believable. Like, in Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, when Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi Wan are confronted by destroyer droids, there's so much firepower that they can't take them head on. They have to get out. So they actually pull back and leave. They're not able to capture Nute Gunray. Here the blaster fire, concentrated blaster fire, has no value, no impact.
It's pointless. Just like the entire show is pointless.
It's deep. It's symbolism, Arch. Okay, this demonstrates the scene is conveying the point that nothing really matters in Star Wars anymore. Nothing matters. Nothing of it
really
matters. Nothing really matters. Nobody's ever really gone after all. Like, nobody's dead. Nobody's who's valuable is gonna die. Inquisitor bitch isn't gonna die because she's got plot armor so thick that it's not even funny.
And of course, the entire design, like this super secret inquisitorial base, it has no anti-aircraft guns, it's got no turbo lasers, it has no shields, it has no TIE fighters on alert, there's no goddamn fleet orbiting it. It's
no defenses, anything.
It is peak Disney, is what it is.
Oh, and the worst part is, in the previous episode, when we're shown this scene of this evil secret Inquisitor water base, because evil water bases, they're cool. It's a cool trope. But this one, they had like TIE fighters on the landing pad, and there was TIE fighters everywhere. It's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have air superiority, right? They're gonna at least have to bring an X-Wing fighter support or something to clear a path through. Nope. The thing is, they could have done that. They could have done that because they brought in the close air support fighters, which are deployed via a dropship, which makes sense because these fighters are not capable of going into space. They're atmospheric fighters. So it's like, okay, where's their X-Wing or fighter escort? Like, they could have done something there. It's not like there's nothing there that they can't use. It's just they're so lazy, they just didn't even bother to think about it. Because you could have an actual X-Wing TIE fighter battle. Wouldn't that have made that a little cool? Like, actually, wow, some actual firefights? Like, that'd be cool. Some dogfighting? Nah. None of that.
These aren't even the Rebel Alliance yet either. Like, the only... I don't even know. They have a ship. They can get past all of the detection. Completely undetected. It's fine. They've got closer air support. They've got gunship and shit. It's why? Why do they have these things? How did they get these things? I hate everything about this show. The show is sad, and it doesn't want me to like it. The show wants me to dislike it. The show is my enemy.
The show is the enemy of everyone. I think it's even the enemy of itself, honestly.
The only bit of credit I can give to the show is that at least they know what those code pins are. Those little things in the officers' shirts, those are like super secret code nonsense that they're carrying around with them, and it gives them very specific high-ranking permissions. And she actually does use that to get entrance into the base. Now, she has clearance for the wrong planet, which the dude is like, hold on, like, this is a bit sus. I'm your superior officer, you let me in. And he goes, oh, okay. All right. It's only a super secret military base, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Isn't that strange, right? Oh god, that's another issue. Like, remember in episode 4, like when they're like, "Oh, nothing's wrong up here." You know, the Imperial officers are always like second guessing. Like, if something's wrong in security protocol, they're like, "All right, I'm going to ask you, like, you know, the next in command, is this actually going on?" Like, what he should have done is he's like, "This is suspicious. Yes, you technically outrank me, but you aren't assigned to the sector in this base. This is suspicious. I'm going to raise this with my superior officers." No.
It's not like she outranks him by a lot either. Like, he's a second lieutenant, I think, and she's a senior lieutenant. All right, fair enough, but here's a couple of things. First and foremost, they're in different branches, which is already the idiotic nature of it, right? I'm your superior officer. Oh my god, are you? Well, I guess I'll just let you go. Because she's a senior lieutenant. There's a bump, but she's not a captain. She's not a commander, or a commodore, or an admiral, or general, or anything like that. She's a senior lieutenant. This won't get you shot from going like, okay, I'm just gonna check this then, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and that's just, it's one of those things like, they try to dismiss this with the trope of, well, I'm gonna report to the, like, I'm expected by the Inquisitor herself, you know? Wouldn't the Inquisitor herself much appreciate the fact that you run things by her as a good security officer rather than let some schmuck through?
Some rando
like,
through.
Come on. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but the security in the Empire is important. The security of making sure rebel spies don't do what they did in this episode surely outweighs that. But no, we have to have our comical villains who are so incredibly stupid and incompetent they wait to get shot. So incredibly stupid that the good guys get away. So incredibly stupid that the person who's clearly, you know, who's incompetent as a leader, Vader's like, nah, you know what, your 4D chess plan is actually pretty brilliant. I'm glad you lost Leia and you let Obi Wan get away. That's great. That's all part of our master plan. Okay, whatever. It's not good. It's just it's pain, because none of these plot points, none of this builds for anything. It just feels painful because nothing really matters in this show.
It's not even plot. Like, there's even a scene where she's sitting at a computer station, speaking loudly to Obi Wan into her little microphone thingy, with other Imperial dudes sitting next to her, looking at her suspiciously. It's like, what are you doing?
It's, yeah, oh my god, I almost forgot about that scene entirely. She's at a computer station whispering to, like, Obi-Wan, and, like, the Imperial dude who's sitting next to her just looks over at her and is like, Are you serious right now? Yes. Did you seriously sit down and you're like, all right, Kenobi, like, watch out for the stormtroopers at Sector B, and the black dude next to her is just like, bitch, for real? For real? No wonder why he got up and tattled on her, Arch. That's why that other officer came up and was like, you know, I need to see your papers. Pop here and please.
We need to have a conversation. Come with me over here so you can strangle my ass behind this computer block thing.
Yep, I need to have a conversation with you about why I think you're possibly being suspicious. He's like, okay, I'll follow you behind this computer block. Snaps his neck. He's like, oh.
Yep. Three
God,
other people in the room who at this point, I guess, just like, yeah, screw it. I'm not being paid enough for this shit. And of course, you remember how in the second episode it was revealed that our Inquisitor lady has mind-reading powers, because of course she does? Well, they don't work on Leia. No, they don't work on the 10-year-old girl. The 10-year-old girl is impervious to the Sith's mind-reading techniques.
Yep. She's impervious, and the thing is, like, if these Inquisitors are allegedly, according to Disney lore, good at picking out Force users, how come they didn't pick out Leia? Surely her uncanny resistance to a supposed Inquisitor would mark her as at least a little suspicious, her resistance. You know, just a tad, just a pinch, a little bit awkward, right?
Well, sus.
How is this young little girl resisting my normal techniques that I use on grown, experienced people, that it works like a charm? It doesn't add up. None of it makes any sense. It's all so incredibly dumb.
Just a bit sus. And I also want to point out, they're interrogating Leia. Why? Because they think she knows where the Resistance is. Leia...
Yeah, oh God.
Since when? Since when did Leia know anything about this? What? Has her daddy just been, so, Leia, these are the secret coordinates to all of the rebel bases. Here. What? Leia knows nothing about this.
Yep. She knows absolutely nothing. But for some reason in this episode, she starts off going like, so where's the path? Where's the underground railway where the Jedi have been getting away? Where's the secret rebel base? And she's like, I'm not gonna betray my friends. It's like,
I'm not
that's cute,
gonna betray these people I didn't even know existed until last episode.
And that you were running away from an episode before that. Like, her trust has grown. She's, again, like, remember we mentioned this in the previous, like, I think 2 episodes ago. Like, she doesn't come off as a child character. She comes off as a grown-ass fucking dude who's pretending to be a child, in terms of her dialogue that the actress is given. And it's painfully obvious.
It's creepy, is what it is. It's just... This show would have been much better without Leia. Like, Leia is an active detriment to this show. And I'm not blaming the actress, per se. I am blaming the unfathomably poor, unchildlike dialogue. And the fact that she is the core character here. What, the Empire captures her and they go like, oh, hey, you know where the rebels are, right? I'm like, no. She's a 10-year-old goddamn child.
Yeah. I don't know how... Is it me, or does it feel like characters are just given information and knowledge, and the show doesn't show that they know these things? Like, Leia's now apparently completely aware about the Rebel Alliance's network and movements, like, or the foundations of the Rebels or whatever. Like, how would she know that? Like, where does she get all this supreme knowledge from?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, sure, she's an Organa, right? Her dad's dealing with her shit, but... Why would he tell her? She's a 10-year-old child. Again, it would not make any sense for him to be like, right, so I'm gonna have to brief you on the secret resistance movement I'm building. No. Oh. It's like, also, they've got Jedi prisoners or corpses or whatever in, like, amber in the basement, and there's a youngling in there for no particular reason.
Yep. That that whole scene where it's like, there's a secret part of the base, and what's down there? They go down to the secret part of the deep evil base, right? And there's Jedi that are just in amber, but they're dead already, so don't worry, they're not prisoners. But they just started collecting them apparently and putting them in amber for the sake of, we're evil, we collect them as trophies. And there's a youngling that's wearing the same garb that they wore in the Jedi Temple during Order 66, which is like, okay, so let me get this straight. Vader and the stormtroopers of the the clone troopers of the 501st Legion that go to massacre the Jedi Temple, they're like, oh, we kill all these people, but let's take this one child as a trophy for later. Like, are you serious? That's just weird.
And it only exists so that Obi Wan can look at the youngling and go, "Oh my God, they even killed the wee children." Yes, we know they killed the wee children. We're aware. It's fine. In fact, having seen the child actors in Star Wars, I think they haven't killed enough children, frankly.
Apparently. I mean, at least they're... See, what's weird is, right, the show is dark, but it has dark things in it. I'm not gonna say that's dark, because it doesn't feel that way. But it feels childish, doesn't it? Like, it's weird. Like, it's got this childish nature to it, and it's trying to be dark, and like, oh, this is after the events of Order 66 Revenge, and all these dark and horrible things are happening and transpiring under the Empire, and it's all this bad stuff. And it's like, oh, teehee, my little beep boop droid, haha. Or like Leia's like, silly Obi Wan, you're a dummy. I'm smarter than you. Like, what is this?
It's like they're trying to hit all of their target audiences at once. Like, that's what it feels like. Awful series. Like, I restate my critique. This is probably the worst Star Wars ever produced. Straight up.
Yeah, I actually unironically agree with that. After seeing some of the awful sequel trilogy and like that was terrible in itself, right? But something about this show just really reveals the corporate nature of this all, of how hollow the skin suit is, And it's just kind of disgusting to watch, really.
The blasé, soulless, uninteresting shit of it all.
If only it would just come to an end. Abruptly.